The reveal of the Samsung Galaxy S4 has sent shockwaves through the smartphone world, with the Korean firm's latest flagship looking ready to stake its claim as the king of smartphones. The ambition and innovation behind the S4 simply cannot be ignored, and it's already shaping up to be yet another benchmark setter for the mobile market. So, what does this mean for main rival Apple? Well, we asked the TechRadar team for their thoughts on what the iPhone 6 needs to bring to the table to stop the S4 taking the smartphone crown.
I think one of the really interesting things about Apple at the moment is that iOS is looking a little bit dated. It's going to be a really interesting year. Johnny Ive's obviously deeply involved in iOS this time around, and we're kind of hoping to see something a little bit different. I'm really hoping for just a bit of an overhaul of the way it looks and the way it feels. It's just beginning to look a little bit dated, and I think it's about time we got a refreshed iOS.
iOS 7 has got a lot riding on its shoulders. I mean, there's a reason that Apple's drafted in so Johnny Ive to bring it something forward and make it a little bit more innovative, a little bit more dynamic. I mean, iOS has been the same since 2007. You know, it's a sea of icons. You know, you can do things like folders and a little bit more Bluetooth support and stuff like that, but primarily it's the same operating system. Whereas Google has taken, you know, what was a kind of iOS clone at the start and made that really much more innovative. You know, it's got loads more home screens, loads more options. It's really more what the consumer really wants nowadays. You can see that in BlackBerry 10. You know, you can see it in the way that Windows Phone has gone forward. Apple really needs to step up and start doing things like updating widgets, you know, icons that change as time goes on.
Well, I think it's always fascinating to look at what Samsung do every year and then see how Apple are going to respond. I think in truth they probably don't even worry too much, but a bigger screen size is definitely something Apple's going to have to consider. Although they went sort of longer with the iPhone 5, I think in reality a lot of people are looking for a little bit more screen estate, especially for watching things like movies. So I do think it's something they're going to have to consider. Whether they'll actually back down and go away from, which is what they always believed, is that you should be able to reach any part of the screen with your thumb, and a bigger screen obviously stops that. Whether they'll actually back themselves and keep on going with that, or whether they'll cave into maybe popular demand and go with a wider screen, remains to be seen.
It's going to be interesting to see what Apple does with the iPhone 6, simply because it's only just gone to 4 inches, and it's said in a marketing campaign that that is big enough. You know, you can use it with one thumb, it doesn't need to go any bigger. But the thing is, Samsung is putting forward 5-inch screens now, and people are buying them. The S4 is going to be one of the most popular phones on the market, and people are saying, you know, we've got the appetite for these larger screens.
One of the things that Apple's really succeeded on is integrating its iOS with all the other devices. It plays nicely with your Mac, it plays nicely with your iPad, all those kind of things play really nicely together. I do think there's some stuff that could maybe be a little bit better. Some of the integration between apps can be a little bit problematic, and I do think that maybe they should be thinking a little bit more about the way that people are consuming media.
The iPhone 6 really does need to change. It really needs to say Apple has taken the original passions of the iPhone but given it a whole new direction. I mean, people still like iPhones, there's no doubt about that. It's still one of the most popular phones in the world. But the critics are getting larger in their volume and saying, look, we've had this same kind of design since the iPhone 4. I mean, the iPhone 5 essentially just makes it a bit longer, you know. The iPhone 3GS to iPhone 4 step forward was brilliant. People really like that. The industrial design, the square edges, that's been mimicked since then. So Apple needs to do that again. It needs to think, right, what do consumers not know they want but actually do want? So it's whether they can fold screens around the edges, whether they can use liquid metal to make a more beautiful case than ever before. I mean, I wish we knew how to fix it because we make millions of pounds, but ultimately Apple needs to find out what the next step is in smartphone design and do it.
So, now that we've heard from experts, we want to hear from you Apple and Android fans too. Let us know what you think in the comments box, and of course, don't forget to subscribe.